Imagine a child finishes a simple puzzle. The parent smiles and says, "Wow, you did that so fast. You're so smart." It is an automatic reflex. We say it to build them up. Now, hand that same child a slightly harder puzzle. Suddenly, they hesitate. They struggle for a moment, panic sets in, and they push the pieces away, refusing to try. The parent intended to bolster confidence, but the psychological result is a trap. If success means they are smart, the child quickly concludes that struggling must mean they are dumb. The specific words we use to encourage children unknowingly dictate how they handle friction. Our vocabulary decides whether they will lean into a challenge or run away from it. According to research by psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck, human beings generally adopt one of two operating systems. The first is a fixed mindset, the belief that intelligence and abilities are static, and you are either naturally gifted or you aren't. The second is a growth mindset, the belief that intelligence is malleable and that the brain physically develops its capabilities through struggle and effort. Every child constructs their worldview around one of these two frameworks. This single belief system becomes the lens through which they interpret every future success, every failure, and every risk they take. We know this because of a landmark 1998 study. Looking at the title block of this paper, the thesis is clear. Praise for intelligence can undermine children's motivation and performance. The researchers looked at person praise, complimenting a child on their innate DNA or natural intellect. Telling a child they're smart teaches them to tie their entire self-worth to looking intelligent. This chart from the study shows the immediate behavioral shift. The black bars represent children who were praised for their intelligence. When given a choice, an overwhelming majority of these kids actively avoided learning new things, opting for easier tasks to protect their smart label. This next chart reveals something even more alarming. Look at the bar on the far left. When the children praised for intelligence eventually faced a task they couldn't solve, 38% of them lied about their scores to their peers. Telling a child they are smart attaches their worth to a result they can't control. This often leads them to drop difficult tasks to avoid proving the label wrong. The scientific alternative is a tool called process praise. This shifts the focus entirely away from the child's identity and onto their actions. Process praise highlights the effort, the specific strategy, and focus applied to tasks. Researchers found children receiving process praise naturally embrace harder tasks. They remain honest about their performance and recover quickly during setbacks. However, as this concept became popular, educators and parents fell into a trap called the false growth mindset. This happens when adults praise a child for simply trying hard, even when they are actively failing and making no progress. True process praise requires more than demanding blind effort. If a child is stuck, the goal is to guide them to analyze their mistakes and deploy different strategies to solve the problem. This visual guide shows exactly how to implement these changes. Notice the yellow bubbles on the left. Instead of saying, "You're so smart," we shift the vocabulary to say, "I noticed how hard you worked on that project." When a child gets stuck, the strategy changes. Instead of rescuing them or letting them quit, you ask, "What did you learn from this experience?" Or, "Let's devise a totally different strategy." If a child is deeply frustrated, there is one final single-word intervention tool you can use: the word "yet." Adding the word "yet" to a sentence like, "I can't do it," changes the statement from a permanent stop into a timeline. It signals to the brain that the current struggle is the middle of a process, not the end of the road. Over time, these specific word choices change how children calculate the value of their own struggle. A failed math test stops being a verdict on their DNA and becomes a data point for their next strategy. There is a biological truth we can pass on to our kids. The uncomfortable, frustrating effort over ease, mistakes lose their status as character flaws. They become the exact moments where the most learning happens. Resilience isn't a natural gift. It's a skill built through specific feedback. By changing our focus from who a child is to what a child does, we give them the tools to navigate a lifetime of challenges.